Welcome. In this video, we'll introduce you to the powerful new features of Intella Assist in Intella version 3.0, helping you streamline search, case assessment, and evidence review, all while saving you valuable time. What is Intella Assist? Before exploring the latest features, let's briefly revisit what Intella Assist is. Introduced in Intella version 2.7.1, Intella Assist is an integrated AI-powered toolset within the Intella products, including Intella, Intella Connect, and Intella Investigator. It leverages large language models, or LLMs, to streamline your searching, digital evidence analysis, and interpretation for investigations and e-discovery. Intella Assist connects directly to a supported LLM provider. Intella Assist supports several providers, including OpenAI, Azure OpenAI, and custom or local LLMs compatible with the OpenAI API. For detailed configuration instructions and compatibility information, refer to the Intella Administrator manuals. What can you do with Intella Assist? Intella Assist currently offers three main features, each tailored to different parts of your review workflow. Intella Assist Chat allows you to interact directly with a single item being shown in the previewer. Simply ask a question or make a request using natural language. For example, summarize this email. Translate this document to English. Does this item contain sensitive information? Intella Assist Tasks run AI-driven actions across a set of items. Each item is analyzed individually but processed in bulk. For example, flag any document with signs of aggression. Automatically tag any communication that mentions deadlines. Generate a summary of the item. Intella Assist Facet perform searches using everyday language. Your query is converted into a structured query. For example, find emails about payment issues. Show documents mentioning John Smith and confidential. List all communications sent after March 1, 2023. These three tools give you flexible, powerful ways to interact with your data, whether you're reviewing one item or analyzing a batch. Why is it useful? Benefits include saving time by minimizing manual tasks and accelerating understanding across all phases, from early case scoping to detailed review. Gaining deeper insight by surfacing hidden patterns, context, and relevance faster than traditional methods. Enhancing collaboration, especially across multilingual or cross-functional teams, by making data more accessible and interpretable. What does Intella Assist not do? It's crucial to understand Intella Assist's limitations. It does not automatically identify all responsive or relevant evidence. It can assist in surfacing useful information, but a thorough manual review is still essential. It does not make final decisions. The insights and suggestions it provides must always be reviewed and verified by a human. It does not guarantee perfect accuracy. Like any AI, it may misunderstand or miss context. Use its output as a helpful guide, not a definitive answer. It does not redact or anonymize data. The complete content and metadata of items are sent to the configured LLM provider, which may have privacy and compliance implications. It requires an active connection to the selected LLM provider and cannot run in isolated network environments. It may transmit data externally, depending on your provider. Be sure to review your organization's data handling policies. It is not a substitute for formal forensic methods, legal workflows, or chain of custody practices. It does not provide legal opinions or investigative conclusions. It supports decision-making, but doesn't replace professional expertise. In addition, anyone configuring or using Intella Assist should be trained in its proper use and aware of its limitations. It's important to interpret results critically and always ensure compliance with the terms and conditions of your selected LLM provider. How can I use Intella Assist? To activate Intella Assist, an administrator configures a supported LLM provider within the Intella settings. Essential details typically include the model name, API key, endpoint URL, and project ID, which is provider-specific. Only authorized users with correct permissions and valid configurations will have Intella Assist access. Detailed guidance is available in the Intella manuals. For Intella Professional, navigate through the File menu, select Preferences, and configure settings under the Intella Assist tab. For Intella Connect or Investigator, the configuration resides under the Administrator dashboard in the Settings view, within the Intella Assist subview. Now that you're familiar with Intella Assist, let's explore its powerful capabilities. In the next segment, we'll demonstrate these enhancements, highlighting how they further streamline your workflow and enhance your investigative insights. Intella Assist Tasks. Throughout this video, we will be using the EMC2 dataset, created by JUR1ST. The dataset can be found at the link shown on screen. In this chapter, we'll take a look at Intella Assist Tasks, a powerful new feature introduced in version 3.0 that brings automation to your review workflow. Intella Assist Tasks is an AI-powered automation feature that executes user-defined natural language rules to flag, tag, or generate content for selected case items in the background, while keeping every action transparent and auditable. Before proceeding, make sure that you have the Can Use Intella Assist features permission enabled, and that the large language model integration is configured correctly. Before you run an Intella Assist task, pare down the dataset you'll be analyzing. This is because every extra item adds processing time, especially when you're using local models, so you should aim for the smallest collection that still meets your goal. In this demonstration, we begin with 338 documents. First, we filter for communication items, reducing the count to 216. Next, we deduplicate those results, leaving 147 unique items as a final set. Select this refined set, right-click, select Process, and then Intella Assist Analysis. The Intella Assist Task tab will then open, ready for the next step. The Intella Assist Tasks feature turns hours of manual review into minutes of clear, actionable insight. Let's see just how easy it is. This is where you can define an Intella Assist task using plain words. To get started quickly, open the predefined suggestions library. A few examples that appear are detect ciphered speech, detect non-English communication, detect aggressive language, detect suspicious financial transactions, and more. For our demo, we will choose Detect Suspicious Financial Transaction and click Use. The form is now pre-populated with that task definition, which we can tailor to our needs. This first section defines the task's context. We'll leave it as is, but we'll add information about the suspect by selecting the relevant identities we've previously defined. This is in order to provide as much information as possible to the large language model. Let's now switch to the next section called Flag Item When. This is where you can define a condition of when an item should be flagged. Enter the condition in plain language. In this particular case, we will enter flag item if it could be considered as a solid proof of money laundering or evading regulations. Let's now move to the Tag Item When section. This is where you can define tags and conditions in plain language, specifying when some particular item should be tagged. We'll leave this as is. In Generate Content, you can specify what content you want the large language model to generate for you. In our case, we want to extract all financial-related statements. This makes it easier for us to identify the relevant parts of the document. The summary shows a plain language recap of everything we've configured in the previous steps. It presents a cleanly formatted overview of the task definition we've come up with. Let's move to the Test Run section. This is where you can perform a test run of the task that was defined on the actual item and see how it works in practice. You might experience a situation where a task doesn't exactly produce the results you're expecting. In such situations, we recommend that you further modify the task definition so that the result produced in the test run meets your expectations. Once you're happy with the definition, save the task and click the Run Task button at the bottom left corner. A new background task will be created, and that's it. A fully customized detection workflow, ready to surface critical evidence in moments. To check the live status of the Intella Assist task, open Preferences, and then select the Background Tasks tab. Our task is still running, yet Intella Assist is already producing annotations on the fly, just like working alongside a teammate who tags and flags items. In the Tags facet, expand Intella Assist. Then open Detect Suspicious Financial Transactions. Every entry here was tagged automatically just seconds after we launched the task, giving us an early look at potential hotspots before processing is even finished. Even at this early stage, you'll notice some promising hits. Open the first tagged item in the previewer. Click the Intella Assist logo in the upper right corner to reveal the side panel if it isn't already displayed. Switch to the Tasks tab. Here you'll find a clear explanation of why the item was tagged or flagged, along with any content the task generated for you. In this particular case, the item was tagged with the tag named Suspicious Transactions, with a severe level due to the following reasons. The message explicitly suggests actions to evade regulations and involves the transfer of money to an offshore account while also advising to delete incriminating evidence, aligning with the tagging condition for severe transactions. This concludes the section on Intella Assist Tasks. Intella Assist in Previewer. In this chapter, we'll explore Intella Assist in the Previewer, an AI-powered tool that lets you ask questions about a single item and receive direct, contextual answers about it. Let's start by opening your case. Then, double-click any item to open the Previewer window. In the top right corner, click the Intella Assist icon to open the panel if it isn't open already. Intella Assist immediately shows a few clickable suggestions to get you started, such as, summarize this item. Are there any anomalies in this item's raw data? And determine the software used to create this item. For this demo, we'll use a custom prompt instead. We'll use summarize the key points in this email. Intella Assist reviews the item's text and metadata and returns a concise answer. In this case, we receive a summary of key information, including when the discussion took place, what accounts were involved, and a summary of what was discussed. You can follow up with further item-specific questions. Remember, Intella Assist in the previewer can see only the item you have open. To process multiple items, consider using the Intella Assist Tasks feature. This concludes the section on Intella Assist in the previewer.
Intella Assist Facets.
In this chapter, we'll explore the Intella Assist Facet, an AI-powered tool that converts your natural language questions into Intella queries for faster, easier querying. Before proceeding, ensure that you have the correct permissions and a properly configured LLM as outlined earlier in the video. Additionally, make sure you're using the OpenAI provider with the GPT-4o model, as this is currently the only supported configuration for the Intella Assist Facet. Begin by creating or opening a non-sensitive case for demonstration purposes. Because the Intella Assist Facet is aimed at reviewer onboarding and experimentation, we recommend working with non-sensitive case data that can be easily shared with others. Once the case is open, navigate to the search view and look at the Facets panel on the left. You should see Intella Assist. If the facet is missing from the list, double-check that your LLM integration is configured properly and that the GPT-4o model is being used. Once located, click on the Intella Assist Facet. A chat-style window appears, ready for any plain language questions. If you aren't sure what to ask, you can click on the Suggestions button above the text box to review a list of built-in suggestions. Several options will be shown here, including search for all previewed items, search for all items where the author is John, search for voice calls that have lasted longer than 1 minute, and more. You can also filter these suggestions by using the filter checkboxes on the left-hand side. For the sake of this demo, we won't use one of the suggestions. Instead, we'll type our own custom question. Search for all emails containing keyword money or its synonyms. Intella Assist instantly translates that request into exact search queries, which helps to educate reviewers about how and when to use which queries. You can evaluate a query by clicking on the search button. The Intella Assist Facet is designed to support new or occasional users by suggesting the right queries for common searching scenarios, which can help reduce or eliminate any guesswork. This concludes the section on the Intella Assist Facet.
Intella Assist Settings.
In this chapter, we'll walk through configuring Intella Assist to integrate with a large language model, or LLM, enabling all supported features. To configure the Intella Assist settings in Intella Desktop, navigate to the File menu and click Preferences. Then click the Intella Assist tab. The settings are the same across Intella Connect and Intella Investigator, so we'll demonstrate the configuration using Intella Investigator. To configure the Intella Assist settings in Intella Connect or Intella Investigator, open the Administrator dashboard, navigate to the Settings tab, then click the Intella Assist subtab. The LLM integration details will appear. At the time of this video's creation, 4 provider options are available: OpenAI, Azure OpenAI, IBM watsonx with partial support, and Custom. Select Custom if you want to connect to a provider that isn't on the list, including a model running on your own computer. However, this option requires that the selected custom provider is OpenAI API compatible. For an initial test, we recommend choosing the OpenAI provider and use non-sensitive data. This will be the quickest way to confirm a successful integration. In the model field, type the model name you want to use. For testing, we recommend that you keep the default value of GPT-4o. Paste your API key. If you don't have one, you'll need to get one from OpenAI or whichever provider you selected. Then, click the Test Integration button. If the connection is successful, then you should see 2 success messages. One for Chat API Text Request Result, and one for Chat API Structured Output Request Result. When you see both of these messages, each followed by a success message, then the LLM integration is complete, and you should be able to use the Intella Assist features. Keep in mind that Intella Assist features will only be accessible to users having the Can Use Intella Assist features permission enabled. This concludes our video on the full set of Intella Assist features in Intella 3.0. In this video, we covered the following: Intella Assist Tasks, which lets you define natural language rules to automatically flag, tag, or generate content for selected case items. Intella Assist in the previewer, which allows you to ask questions about individual items and receive direct, contextual answers. The Intella Assist facet, which translates your natural language queries into structured Intella searches for faster, easier querying. We also demonstrated how to successfully enable these features by integrating a large language model. For any questions, please consult the Intella documentation and contact our support team regarding any technical issues. Thank you for watching.